Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to see you all here tonight. I have mixed feelings about this. I'm very excited about introducing this film, but I'm also sorry that it's the last film in the fall series. Um, as usual, my pleasure to introduce these films because learned so much throughout this entire series from your comments. And I think that we should give a hand to the people who've been coming and making such great comments and making the discussions afterward so enriching. Tonight, Berthold Hoeckner from the Department of Music, another Nanovic fellow, will be joining me for the discussion after the film. I'd like to say just a few preliminary things to set the table for this film because in many ways it is a very puzzling film, and I think giving you a sense of context will probably help. All right. And then, of course, during the discussion, we'll all say brilliant things and we'll all go out into the night feeling like we've taken that which is puzzling and made it wonderfully, illuminated. All right. The first thing that I should probably tell you, though, is that if you're a Christian Petzold fan, based on your experience having seen films such as Barbara, Phoenix, or Transit, this is a very different kind of film. All right. He refers to those three films as love in oppressive times. As a trilogy, the Transit brought that to a close. Undine is his first film in what he calls his Elements trilogy. All right. So he's released one film. He's already, this is the Water film. The next one will be the Fire film, which has already got a working title called Red Sky, all right, which he said is going to be about lots of kissing and homosexual desire. So if the last trilogy was about love in oppressive times, so far based on what we have, all right, and on the basis of this film, we could say that it's love in mythological times. All right, very much of the present. This is not people running around in togas or anything like that, so don't be put off by my use of the word mythological. But I think it's not this is not a spoiler alert. Nothing that has to be preceded by a spoiler alert announcement. The main character here is a water nymph. All right, the Undine or the Undine or the Ondine goes in. That term has been used in various contexts, and I say various contexts because there were water nymphs in Ovid's Metamorphoses, two of them, as a matter of fact. All right, it has appeared all over the place, from the pulpiest pop culture to the most effete high art. All right, to give you a sense of that, it has been the inspiration for musical settings by Schoenberg, Debussy, and Ravel. It has also been the inspiration for DC Comics, The Super Friends, which was published in 1978, where the heroes battle the elementals, and they all try to possess humans in order to gain a soul. One of those elementals goes by the name of Undine or Undine. All right. There's also a Star Trek episode, Star Trek Voyager, which introduced a character called Species 8472, who is another Undine. All right, and became known as Undine on the Star Trek Online phenomenon. All right. Seamus Heaney, for instance, the great Irish poet, wrote a poem called Undine, which appeared in his 1969 collection, Door into the Dark. And so we have a very wide range of ways in which this myth has been put to a variety of different uses. All right. How Petzold uses it is something that we're going to need to talk about tonight. The reviews for the film all basically came to pretty much the same conclusion, which was puzzlement. All right, but also delight in how beautiful this is. All right, it is. In fact, the review, Glenn Kenny in the New York Times said, "quote While it could serve as a high-end date movie, it's something more." Now, he doesn't really explain what that something more might be. In the same way that Joe Morgenstern in the Wall Street Journal described it as puzzling but strangely beautiful. All right. Now, that sounds like a pretty juicy discussion topic. How do we reconcile reviews that seem to be equally impressed by the beauty of this film, but also how puzzling it is. Frankly, I don't think it's quite as puzzling as the critics are making it out to be. It's only puzzling if you, in effect, expect it to work like his previous trilogy. All right? If you are, in effect, open to where he might be going next, and why, and the questions then become, well, why move toward the mythological? You know, what is the, given so much, like just our title last week with Les Miserables, so much of European film and so many of the films that we've talked about over the years in this very series have been, they were defined by their burning intensity, the hyper-realism of the moment, all right? So to talk about a film by a major European auteur, all right, who is now moving away from all that to, in effect, make a film about contemporary life in Europe, but to do it through a mythological framework, which also seems to include a very large measure of urban planning, since you'll see what I mean by that in a few minutes. How we reconcile the mythological urban planning and what we can say about the experience of living in the 21st century in Europe and the rest of the world seems to me what this film is all about. So without further ado, why don't we get started? I'll talk to you right after the film.